everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This video is actually going to be two separate videos, which is why I'm wearing a different outfit, and also it's probably the camera's probably a little bit differently because I filmed two videos before I went on my Colorado trip a couple of weeks ago, which was my April wrap-up video and my May TBR video, and I never got around to posting them. And just because this month has been really crazy and very busy work-wise, but also very busy with other personal things, and so I just did not have the time, and also just mentally I didn't really feel like I couldn't get myself to edit the videos. I don't know what it was. I was like in a editing slump or something, but like and I've had a few people that I've talked to this month that have said the same thing, where they just felt very like unmotivated to edit, like they had multiple videos filmed but they just could not get their minds to edit for some reason, and it almost was like an editing burnout in a way, I don't know. But anyways, I am back now. I'm very excited for these videos to go up, and hopefully sometime I will have my Colorado video up. But for now, I'm going to be doing the reading videos and catching up on those. So this video will have my April wrap-up video. I'm not going to post my May TBR, obviously, because there's no point in it. And then I will post, I'm about to film and show you what my May wrap-up was and what I ended up reading in May. And then I'm actually going to be filming after this video. I'm filming what I'm going to be reading in June, which entails 2 readathons. So that video will go up a couple of days after this one. So this is going to go up on a Tuesday, and then this next one will go up on my June TBR will go up on Friday, I'm assuming, is when I think I'm going to post it, because I want to get it out as quickly as possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into reading my April TBR, and then we'll come back and you'll see me again in this setting for my May TBR, my April wrap-up, and then my May wrap-up. So here we go. But the first book that I read for April was actually a reread, and the first one was 13 Witches. And it was because I was getting the second book, which is 13 Witches, The Sea of Always, and this is The Memory Thief. I read this one last year. I wanted to reread it so I could remember what happened, so that I'll be ready for this one. And both of these books I have my planner here with all my star ratings and things, so I can remember because it's been so long. But I read both of these and absolutely loved them. I can't wait for the next one to come out. But they are both 5-star reads for me. The storyline is very, it's middle grade fantasy, I would assume. And it's got a lot of magicalness, mainly more so like paranormal, like ghosts, and what it kind of gets you thinking about the side of ghosts that are left behind and are like haunting areas, instead of, it's just like what they see and like the world of like what that could be like and stuff. It's very interesting. But it also has to do with witches as well. The witches and ghosts are kind of, and they're both in the same type of world, but the ghosts are very good at like helping save the people that they like are around and have watched grow up. Like the ghost she becomes friends with, that teaches her all about the world. He's actually has been in her house as a ghost and haunting her house the entire time that she's grown up, and she never really knew he was there until she got the ability to be able to see him. So it's very interesting, and I don't know how to end. There's like a mystery to it. Like her mom lost her memory to one of the witches, and she's trying to figure out how to get her mom's memory back. And her mom keeps saying that somebody is swimming out at sea, and she has no clue who this somebody is. She thinks it's her dad, and so it could be her dad, it could be someone else, we don't know. I don't want to give anything away if you want to read it, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm trying to give you ideas on to make you read the book because it's so good. And it's very like mystery, paranormal, fantasy, like kind of vibe, but I really love these books. So that is my thought on those books. The next book that I read was actually Gone Girl, and I had a couple of reasons why I wanted to read this book, because one was I wanted to read it because I haven't seen the movie in so long, and I couldn't really remember what I thought. I remember it being like a psychological thriller kind of movie, and I just didn't really know. I couldn't remember much about the movie, but I read the book, and the book was a struggle to read. It was so long, and the typing, it was 400 pages long, and it just dragged on and on and on. And then it was just kind of like, I didn't really care for the writing. I didn't care the storyline. After so long of reading it, it took me a week to read. I spread it out within a week of reading it, and it felt like I was reading it for like 3 weeks instead of just 1 week. It was such a long book, and it just felt like the story was just dragging on and not getting anywhere, and I just didn't really like it. Also, I have to say it was a very emotional and like spicy book. If you know what I'm talking about, it's a very spicy, and it's a very emotional. There's like happy, sad, just like all the emotions throughout this book. So if you were wanting like to go through all the emotions that are available to you, I would read this book, because it is like, but it is a very, very spicy, and yeah. And so it was not really one of my favorites. I ended up giving it a 3-star. I feel like I remember liking the movie, but I feel like psychological thriller movies are so much better than like a book version of it, I feel like. I don't know. It just depends. I haven't really read too many psychological thrillers. I've mainly watched them. But anyways, that is that book. That is what I'm going to say about that book. And then the next book that I read, I don't have a physical copy. I did have a physical copy of Gone Girl, but I had to give it back to my friend. So when I got done reading it, I gave it back to my friends that I borrowed it from. So I don't have it. But the next book that I read was also, I wanted to read Gone Girl because it was an alliterative title, and I could check that reading goal off of my planner. So that was another reason why I wanted to read it. And then the next book that I read was Little Women, and this book is huge. It is 777 pages, and it was a thick one. And I do have to say, I have some thoughts. I actually gave it, people are probably going to be mad at me, but I gave it a 4 stars because I fully didn't like it, but I also didn't hate it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. It was just very long, and another thing is that when they like change their age, they don't really like specify what age they are, where in their life they are, and you kind of have to like guess with like the scene of everything and like the setting of everything of where they are in life. And I just like, at some points I was like mixing characters up. I couldn't like remember things. It was just a lot. It was a lot to read. It was a journey, I have to say, and I feel like I resonate a little bit with each sister, Mark's sister. And but I think my favorite one is definitely Amy. She is like one of my favorites. But I do have a lot of resonations with all of them. But I just like how she wanted to be like the rich, popular girls, but she knew when she got to that point in her life, that when she was able to buy these nice, fancy things and stuff, that she stayed humble and true to herself and didn't let it get to her head like all the other girls who she was friends with, and I really like that about her. But that is what I'm going to say about Little Women. I don't really know much else to say, but I did like the storyline. I liked, this is the Puffin edition of Little Women, and it's so cute. I love this edition of it, and it's actually pretty, like the pages are really, really small. Like it's a lengthy book though, I will say. But anyways, on to the next book that I read. So the next one, I actually read 2 during the Catathon Readathon, which was Coraline, which I read on my Kindle, and I have a whole video all about my thoughts on Coraline and that. And then I also read The Gilded Girl. I reread this one because the second one came out the same day that the second 13 Witches came out, and this is what it looks like. And actually, I could have read this one earlier because the new one actually has cats on the cover, so that would have worked for the readathon that I was doing. Piper, 1 second. You're gonna have to wait just 1 second. And so I ended up reading this series to end out the month of April. I actually just finished this book like 2 minutes before I started filming this video. And this one was a retelling of A Little Princess, and this one is a retelling of The Secret Garden. And I've actually never read the original of either of those books, but they kind of had similar endings, I will say. They were a bit different, but very similar. And I'm kind of excited to see what next story, like classic story, she's going to go for her next book, because when I was reading her little author's note at the end of the book of this one, she mentions this book being her very first book she's ever put out, and she put it out during the pandemic when it was all happening and stuff, and this one just released this year. So it was very interesting, and reading her stuff about her books and things. But yes, I enjoy both of these books. I actually gave, yeah, I did say that. I gave Coraline 4 stars because I liked the movie version way better. It also did not have like her friend and his grandma from the movie was not even in the book. And there was a couple of things that I just didn't really like care for in the book. I don't know, like the book was pretty similar, but I liked the movie version better and the storyline better, so I gave it 4 stars. And then Gilded Girl, and also I haven't filled out my thing for the Tarnished Garden, but the Gilded Girl I gave 5 stars. This one I'm also giving, wait, did I give it 5 stars? Hold on. Yes. I gave this one 5 stars, and I'm definitely going to give this one another 5 stars because they just are just so magical, and it's so cool how she is retelling these stories, but in like a magical, like fantasy type thing. And then also what's really cool is these, or also what I noticed in this book, the little kittens at the bottom, they are house dragons, which is what the one on the front cover of this one is. His name is Figgy Pudding, and these kittens remind me so much of the kittens from the Aristocats. So if you like those little kittens on that movie, you would definitely love reading this book. And it was just such a cute, fun book to read. And yeah, so that is basically everything that I read in April. And I had a really good April. I wanted to stick with like spring vibes, but also make sure that I caught up on all of my series that I was wanting to read, and then pick up some books that I had been reading for a while, or had been wanting to read for a while, but just didn't know where they fit. And I wanted to, since they were all like spring vibes, I wanted to make sure I read them during the springtime. So, okay, so now it is the May wrap up, and I read a total of 6 books this month. And I kind of wish that I would have read more. I was expecting to read more, it just didn't happen. But this next month, I'm hoping to read a little bit more, so I'm very excited about that. But what I did read in May, I'm going to also pull up my reviews section in my planner so that I can tell you the exact review of what I gave these, because it's been a minute since I've read most of these books. But the first book that I read in the month of May was the Pages & Co. the 4th book of the series, the Book Wanderer series. It's called The Book Smugglers, and it's set in Wizard of Oz theme. And I actually gave this book 4 stars because I really, really like this series. This is one of my favorite series that I've read in a while, like middle grade wise. And it is such a good series, and it's such a different take on like reading in general. And but I had to give it 1 less star than some of the other ones because it was themed Wizard of Oz, but it barely even talked about Wizard of Oz. And I am somebody that loves Wizard of Oz, and actually I talked about this in my video that I'm not posting, But I actually have this book, which is a first edition of, it's like super duper heavy, and it's like a felt cover. It is so beautiful. It's The Lion of Oz, and the author, my parents actually went to Vegas, and they got to meet the author and have him sign it. And even he signed as Toto signed it too. And then I have like this letter that he wrote, and it was when I was 3 years old, and my parents went to a Vegas trip together, and they ended up getting this book for me. And I have actually not read this book, and in my video I was planning on reading this book for the first time this month, but I just never got around to it. But this is something that I've had literally since I was 3 years old. So it is crazy that I've had this book for that long, and it's like in perfect condition. Like none of the pages are ripped, nothing's drawn in it besides what he wrote in it. Like nothing is messed up with it. Also, like the illustrations in this are just so cool. But anyways, so I had that. So, and then I also had stuffed animals. I had the movie. I had also another book. I have no clue where it's at though. But I had this other book that was like a director's cut of the movie, and it was like black and white, and it was really, really cool to have, but I have no clue where it's at now. But that being said, I'm a really, really big fan of Wizard of Oz, and I did not like that they didn't include it as much as I was expecting them to, especially with it being like the main page of the main cover of the book is the theme of Wizard of Oz. But anyways, that is that book. I talked way too much for that book, but anyways, and then it also does leave on a cliffhanger, which is also why I gave it 4 stars, because it leaves on a cliffhanger, and I'm very excited for the next book to come out in November to find out what happens next. But then let's move on to the next book. So I also said in my old video that I was wanting to read a lot of memoirs or like celebrities' books or YouTubers' books, and I actually reread Youre Not Special from Megan Rinks, and I have not read this book in I think 2 years is when it came out, and it was such a good read. It only took me I think like 3 or 4 days to read it, and it is so good. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. I've been following her since I think like 2012. Let me see if it'll work now. Okay, sorry, my camera got full with the memory card got full. But anyways, I've been following her since like 2013, I think, or 2012, somewhere around there. And this book is so interesting, and I just really enjoyed her writing style, and I gave it a 5 stars, and I just really enjoyed it. I don't really know how much else to say because it's like about her life. And like, so if you know who this is and you've never read her book, I would highly recommend reading it. But yes, so, and also it's like talks about her like relationships, it talks about her family, it talks about her like going about her college life, and like doesn't really talk too much about being on YouTube much at all, but it mentions it here and there. But yes, it's very interesting. I would highly recommend if you're looking for an easy read, but you want it like to be about somebody's like actual life. So there's that book. Then the next book, I actually read the entire series of The Summer I Turned Pretty, because I was debating on whether or not I wanted to read it in June right before the show comes out, or read it now, and I just could not wait, and ended up deciding to order the whole series on Amazon. And I read book after book, and it took me like I think 2 weeks to read all of them. But these books were so good. I do have to say that the first one, I did give it 4 stars, and it also because it gave it took a while to get into the storyline. Like it was going about all the different like characters and their personalities and what they were into and things. And then there's like a part when she goes to a party and meets a guy, and from that point on, the book got really good. But then before that, it was so boring to me. I couldn't get through it very well. It like took me so long to I had to like push myself to get through it because I wanted to know what was going to happen. Because I also wanted to read it before the show came out. But the show is actually going to be out on June 17th, and it is going to be on Hulu. So if you want to watch it and we can like chat about it, that would be awesome, because I'm looking forward to that. And also the second book, so I gave that one 4 stars. I gave this one, It's Not Summer Without You, I gave that one 5 stars, and this one 5 stars. I gave this one 4 stars just because it took me so long to get into the storyline of like it actually being good to me as a book. But also I have to say that the books did come out like in 2009, and then like the few years after that, I think until like 2011 or something like that is when the last one came out. And so they, oh no, 2012 was the last time that the other one came out. But yes, so I would highly recommend reading this series if you are looking for a fun summer read. And but like very like, it has a little bit of a love triangle, and like just basically like finding herself. Her name's Belly, and you follow her going to Cousins Beach, which is where she grew up and goes to all the time with a family of her mom's, like her mom and this other mom are friends, and she grew up with the 2 boys that she has and her brother. And then it's basically following her life every summer and going through like the love triangle that she has and all of her life situations that she's going through. So anyways, that is that series. And then my final book that I just finished yesterday is the Hawthorne Legacy. And oh my gosh, this book was incredible. I was supposed to finish reading it today, and I could not wait to finish reading it for today to be able to like read a little bit today. But I just had to finish it last night, so I finished it. And I have to say, this series, the first book, I did not really like the first book that much, and I had a lot to say about it, and I couldn't get into it. It took me a while, like the other book that I just mentioned. It took a long time for me to actually like the storyline, because it was just so, it lagged, and it was kind of like dragging on, and it was way too detailed, and like the places that she was in, like the rooms that she was in, it was very detailed specifics, like the pool table had this like green felt with this thing, and it kept dragging on details of this one pool table, and or like, you know, like that's an example of something. Or like they would talk about like the detail of like the games that were in the game room, and it was just going way too much into detail on this one thing that didn't have anything to do with the story, which was kind of annoying to me. But once I got like towards the end of the first book, that's when it got really good, because all the secrets and everything were starting to spill out, and you end on a cliffhanger. And then in comes this one, which is literally cliffhanger after cliffhanger. All the answers are coming out. You get so much information. I feel like the first book is a very like, let me introduce you to the family and who everybody is, and then give you the start of the game and the clues and stuff. And then this book, since you already know who everybody is, you start figuring out more secrets, and you get answers to things that you missed in the first book and that you didn't get answers to until this book. And it's so good. And it leaves on a cliffhanger somewhat, but not very much. But the next book comes out on August 30th, so the final book. And then I also heard that I think Hulu might be picking this series up as either a movie series or a book series, or not book, TV show series. I'm not really sure, but I've heard that it could be in the works right now and like in production right now. So I'm hoping that it gets turned into a show or movie, because this is such a good series. But you have to get through the first like few chapters, at least like half the book of the first book, to be able to actually like really enjoy the series. I feel like, for me, that was how I feel. But anyways, that is everything that I read for this month of May. And yeah, so I will see you guys in my June TBR video coming up soon. And let me know if you've read any of these books, or you are planning on reading any of these books. And let me know your thoughts on them. And yeah, I'm just glad to be back on YouTube and talking about books again, because I am finally back into like I'm getting really wanting to read more, and I'm very excited for my June TBR. So I can't wait to share that with you soon. So I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss when I upload, and follow me on Instagram. I'll have the link down below for you. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!